There's a whole mess unfolding around Rachel Zegler's latest project, and it's got the internet buzzing. What was meant to be her big return to the spotlight has now reportedly been shut down, midway through production. Not postponed, not rescheduled, fully stopped. The studio's chalking it up to scheduling conflicts, but people behind the scenes are telling a very different story. Insiders close to the set claim things had been unraveling for weeks before production finally imploded. And it wasn't about money or technical issues. According to whispers from crew members, it all came down to Rachel's behavior. Reports describe a mounting pattern of alleged attitude problems, lack of cooperation, and one major blow-up that supposedly led the director to call it quits, at least for now. The tension didn't start with fireworks. It built slowly. It began with little things, eye rolls during script reads, arriving late with coffee in hand, seeming bored or dismissive during rehearsals. One lighting crew member said it felt like she didn't want to be there, like the entire team was just lucky to have her presence on set. When those smaller signs weren't dealt with early, things reportedly escalated. Sources allege Rachel started pushing back on the script, demanding big changes to her role, even though the screenplay had already been finalized. One person close to the writing team said she wanted her character rewritten to better reflect her public image, not the actual narrative. The situation reportedly reached a boiling point during what should have been a normal direction session. The director gave Rachel some straightforward feedback, just tweaks to timing and tone, but she allegedly snapped. Witnesses say she raised her voice, accused the director of doubting her talent, and stormed off the set in full costume. Cameras were rolling. Extras were watching. And that dramatic walk-off, sources claim, marked the unofficial end of the shoot. The fallout was quick and widespread. A supporting cast member reportedly refused to continue filming scenes with Rachel unless a mediator was present. Makeup artists allegedly began rotating their shifts to avoid her trailer. One production assistant described the environment as toxic, saying Rachel had turned the set into a walking PR disaster. Meanwhile, Rachel was telling people she felt disrespected, acting, according to insiders, like she was the one being wronged. What makes all this even more intriguing is how much it mirrors past controversies she's been tied to. After her heavily criticized comments about Snow White, this project was supposed to be her shot at redemption. Instead, the narrative has flipped, from Rachel Zegler's comeback to Rachel Zegler being too difficult to handle. And this doesn't seem like a one-time issue. The pattern, some say, is clear. Seen as uncoachable, trying to reshape scripts, mid-shoot, and ending up as the center of drama instead of the actual film. The internet reacted instantly and mercilessly. Memes exploded, Reddit lit up, and one particularly viral comment summed it up. She's not unlucky, she's just unlikable. But this isn't just tabloid fodder. It could have serious consequences for her career. This wasn't a tiny passion project. It was a major studio film, designed to clean up her image after previous media missteps. When a big production crashes and you're at the center of the chaos, people in the industry pay attention. Studios, agents, casting directors, they all start keeping score. One entertainment lawyer put it bluntly, "Nobody wants to insure a lead with a meltdown history." Sources say Rachel is now in damage control mode, reportedly. She's now reportedly calling in favors, reaching out to publicists to help spin the narrative and even reconnecting with journalists she's previously clashed with. Even her fan base appears split. Some say she's being unfairly targeted by the media, while others admit they're simply exhausted from constantly defending her behavior. What makes this mess even worse? It wasn't even her movie. Rachel was brought in to support someone else's creative vision, not to dominate it. But once again, she's become the main headline, and not in a good way. The more she tries to paint herself as the victim, the more the public seems to tune her out, with a collective eye roll. This isn't just another celebrity controversy. It might be the moment her whole redemption arc collapsed. And perhaps the most revealing part? The absolute silence from Hollywood. Usually when something like this happens, you'd expect a few voices, maybe a former co-star or a past director, to offer support. But instead, nothing. No vague Instagram story. No, "I loved working with Rachel" tweet. Just crickets. And that silence? It speaks volumes. Even people who used to proudly drop her name at events have gone quiet. When a few A-listers who worked with her were asked about the situation during interviews, they either sidestepped the question or gave robotic, non-committal answers that screamed, "I want nothing to do with this." The studio's own response has been just as cold. No heartfelt defense of their leading lady, just generic statements about adjustments in production and continued commitment to excellence. Behind the scenes, though, the effects are already being felt. One insider says an up-and-coming actress attached to an upcoming project with Rachel has backed out, citing creative differences. Hollywood code for "I saw the headlines, and I'm not touching that." Others have allegedly told their agents not to pair them with her at all. Even entertainment reporters who once championed her are now combing through old interviews with a new lens, reinterpreting past quotes that once seemed quirky, but now come off as arrogant or tone-deaf. After days of silence, Rachel finally addressed the situation, but not in the calm, PR-approved way most teams would recommend. Instead, she launched into an unscripted Instagram Live rant, hoodie on, sarcasm dialed up. She rolled her eyes and quipped, "Everyone's ignoring my calls. Whatever. It's chill. I don't even care." Viewers weren't laughing. They were stunned. The comments flooded in, many asking why she was mocking a crisis and acting like a victim. But she didn't stop there. Mid-rant, she offhandedly mentioned she'd be appearing on a talk show that night and planned to talk about them, smirking like it was some kind of warning to the production team. Then came the TikTok clips. In one, she sarcastically referenced her dual role in the film, saying, "There's two of me, double the trouble, am I right?" The timing couldn't have been worse. With whispers that she was the root of the on-set chaos, even her loyal defenders began struggling to justify her choices. One fan commented, "I want to support her, but she makes it so hard." Allegedly, all of this went directly against her team's advice. Insiders claim her reps had prepared a formal apology and a strategy to get things back on track. But Rachel refused, reportedly saying she was done playing nice. That move might have deeper consequences than bad press. Sources say the studio's legal department jumped into action almost immediately after her posts, reviewing whether she had violated clauses in her contract about confidentiality and non-disparagement. They allegedly began compiling evidence, timestamps from social media, internal emails, interviews with crew members who felt disrespected. One assistant reportedly said they felt genuinely unsafe when Rachel screamed during a blocked scene. At this point, it's no longer just about reputation. It's a potential legal nightmare. Rachel's own legal team is said to have advised her to go radio silent. But by then, the damage had been done. Online, the backlash was swift. Hashtags like "Doornwarn replace Zegler" started trending. Fan edits circulated with her role swapped out for other actresses. Through all of it, the studio stayed quiet, a move some insiders interpret as the start of legal negotiations behind the curtain. One source close to a producer put it bluntly, "This isn't about finishing the movie anymore. It's about damage control. The goal is to stop the bleeding. Insurance companies can reportedly refuse to cover losses linked to actor-related disruptions, which means Rachel's outbursts could end up costing the studio millions. Rumors are flying that the studio is already working on a legal clause to formally separate from her, allowing them to restructure the project without a total reshoot. Meanwhile, the fallout is still spreading. PR teams at top agencies have reportedly flagged Rachel as high-risk talent. Talent managers are warning clients not to be seen publicly with her. One major brand that had her lined up for an ad campaign quietly removed her from all their materials. No statement, just gone. But beyond Rachel's personal downfall, this situation is starting to reshape the industry. Her story is becoming a cautionary tale about the risks of young stars with huge social media followings and unchecked power. One insider didn't mince words. She's an HR liability. The red flags were always there. We just ignored them because of the hype. Now, the conversation has shifted from Rachel's outbursts to something bigger. What started as one actress's implosion is now a wake-up call for studios everywhere. A casting director told Off-Cord that Rachel's meltdown has actually made things harder for young actresses who use their platforms to advocate for change. She made activism look bratty, the source said, warning that it's hurting those who approach advocacy with purpose and professionalism. The ripple effect is already happening. Studios are reportedly inserting new behavior clauses into contracts, especially for under 30 actors with major online platforms. These clauses essentially say, speak your mind, but don't sink the ship while you're doing it. No more unscripted lives. No more red carpet tirades that eclipse the movie itself. Rachel may have built her brand on being real, but to executives, that realness now looks more like a liability than an asset. And it's not just Rachel under scrutiny. Behind closed doors, other Gen Z celebrities are being quietly re-evaluated. Past interviews are being reviewed. Media training gaps are being flagged. Casting directors are asking tougher questions. Can this person handle press? Will they keep production issues private? Will they promote the film or turn every interview into a headline? Rachel's downfall made one thing clear. Viral doesn't always mean bankable. And even agents are starting to. The industry's already shifting its game plan. One rising actress, known for her outspoken activism, was reportedly advised by her team to take a 6-month break from posting online while they locked down her next deal. Another was allegedly told to delete a recent Twitter thread criticizing studio execs, just days after signing a multi-film contract. For years, Hollywood chased Gen Z by embracing loud, unapologetic voices and prioritizing authenticity. But now, executives are beginning to wonder, has that authenticity gone too far? Rachel's very public downfall is unfolding in real time, and it's making everyone uneasy about which rising star might be next to flame out. When a bright talent becomes a liability, studios retreat. The question now isn't just whether Rachel can make a comeback, it's whether Hollywood even wants her to. Redemption arcs aren't rare in entertainment. We've seen actors hit rock bottom and come back stronger. But those comebacks usually require a key ingredient. Someone influential, in your corner, a mentor, a loyal fan base, a powerful producer willing to bet on you. In Rachel's case, there's mostly silence. The people who once hyped her up are now stepping back, almost as if trying to avoid any legal entanglement. Some industry insiders are calling her downfall a kind of reverse Cinderella story. Plucked from obscurity, handed the spotlight, only to watch it vanish at midnight. But instead of losing a glass slipper, she lost her audience. The same fans who once championed her. As the voice of a new generation now use her name as a meme. In an industry where public perception is a form of currency, this kind of reputational hit doesn't disappear overnight. Maybe the saddest part is that Rachel doesn't seem to fully grasp the weight of what's happened. Her latest social media posts, blending mockery with self-pity, don't show growth, they show denial. She's doubling down while the support around her crumbles. And when a performer keeps playing the victim while the industry quietly moves on, that's not the start of a redemption arc. It's the closing chapter of a cautionary tale. Reach millions with a single post. The old PR filters are gone. That's a double-edged sword. Rachel's case has shown just how fast an unfiltered voice can tear down what took years to build. The industry is watching, learning, adjusting, trying to ensure there won't be another Rachel Zegler situation. So the big question now is, can she really recover from this string of controversies? Or has Hollywood closed the door so subtly she hasn't even noticed yet? The next few months will make that clear. This could either be a temporary low point in a long career or the defining moment that shifted her path forever. But one thing is undeniable. Her story has already left a mark, and it's changed how the industry handles the next wave of young Hollywood, is already rewriting the playbook. A new set of rules is forming for young talent, rules Rachel no longer fits into. Sure, she might eventually book another role or give a tearful interview about lessons learned. But the truth is, the machine has already moved forward. She may still trend in headlines, but the spotlight has moved on. That upcoming rom-com, the one with a stacked A-list cast? Insiders say the studio is already recasting her part. Publicly, the reason will be scheduling conflicts. Privately, it's damage control, a way to quietly sever ties without drawing more attention. This entire situation highlights bigger issues about modern fame. In a time when actors can stars in ways we're only beginning to understand,